Sky Squad, we are back in the building, baby, and we got to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 14, episode 6. Don't be sea salty, okay? Now, listen, first things first, just notice your boy is a bit under the weather, actually, a lot under the weather today. And keep my dad in prayers today because he's having surgery. So, a lot going on this end, which is why I'm not on camera. But don't worry, we still gonna get into this good Ponderosa, and we're still gonna get into this episode because we got a lot to talk about. Marlo and Sheree are dragging Kenya, Kandi, and Sanya. Okay, it is going down, and this is definitely going to set the tone for the reunion for this season. Yo, it's gonna be all the way lit, and the girls are going in. Okay, the girls are going in. I mean, listen, what can I say? Marlo and Sheree are wearing Kandi and Kenya out. I was shocked last night that we were getting so much of this drama so early on. Like, I was really completely in shock, okay? Completely in shock. We got to take things over to our friends over at the Jasmine brand because I mean, just one of the big pieces of news before we get into the episode is this fact that Marlo is accusing Kandi of being promiscuous, calls her a hoe, and says that Kenya was a video hoe. I mean, that was not all that Marlo had to say, but trust and believe we're going to get into everything that she had to say about Kenya, Kandi, and Sanya, okay, in this episode. Marlo let loose, okay? She let loose and she dragged the ever-loving life out of these ladies. And Kandi had some things to say on her good on the good social media about Marlo. She says, keep watching this season because the lady with the heavy tongue keeps my name in her mouth. And I'm assuming by heavy tongue she means Marlo because Marlo does have a little slight lisp on her. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Kandi also says if someone shows you who they are, believe them because they're talking about me more than they talking about their own stories and businesses. And so Marlo says, where have y'all been the past 10 years when I've been called every negative name in the book except a child of God? And she is kind of correct about that. She says, keep watching because the lady with the heavy tongue is keeping everybody's storyline juicy and paychecks coming in. Now, let me say this about this whole situation about, this comment about keeping um, everybody's storyline juicy and paychecks coming in. I don't like drama just for the sake of drama. Like, if you're going to have drama, make sure that like I don't want to think that it's drama for the sake of you trying to keep the show going. I don't want to think it's that. I want it to be whatever it is because the way she was going off about Kandi and Kenya in that moment, it seemed like it was in response to the ladies not being there for Sheree. But don't make me think that it is you doing this just for the ratings because for me at that point I like to feel like I'm in the show. You know what I'm saying? I like to feel like I'm in it and the drama is real. And if the drama don't feel real, then I don't want it. Anyway, you can see under the comment section that your girl Eva Marcel has said, no, don't do this, y'all. Please, we are so much better and don't come for my candy. Okay. And I hate to say it, but Eva, that's what they do on these shows. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. You just got to understand that. But anyway, let's get into the episode. So over at Candy's house, Ace is learning Chinese, and I'm like, I know that's right. You better teach them these kids something different. Okay. Meanwhile, over at Sonya's, her son is busy burping. Kenya and Marlo catch up on what happened with Sheree when Sheree got stood up by Tyrone, and they decide to do massages for Sheree at Marlo's house for the single ladies. Meanwhile, Sheree is in her bedroom folding up sheets. Okay, and that bedroom is everything. Okay, with that flower wallpaper. I love the patterns and the textures and all that. She recaps Tyrone standing her up with her daughter Kiera, and apparently he called her afterwards and acted like nothing happened. Now she told him she would call him back, but she never did call him back, and he's been texting and calling, but she don't want to talk to him right now, and she ain't left the house since she's been back because she feels humiliated, and that's understandable, girl, because the photos was running rampant all over the internet. So I would assume that I would be feeling just a little bit embarrassed as well, but she doesn't know if it's something she is willing to give up on yet because she's invested too much time. And all I want to say is, girl, let it go. This man has stood you up on national television. I mean, for me, I think that the impact of that alone is enough for me to say bye, bye, bye. Okay. Anyway, this bang and ponytail situation that she got in this confessional is wearing me out. And I know she has made a comment about it on her social media, what she wanted versus what she got. But I almost just wish they would stop using that in the confessionals. Like, give me something else. Do all of her confessionals over again, because that is just the worst Elvira look I have ever seen, and she is too hot for that. Okay. Meanwhile, Kenya and her banging body meets up with Drew. Okay. They go out for lunch, and Drew steps into the scene looking equally as amazing. And I'm here for Drew's glow up. And Kenya realizes that she and Drew have a lot in common and wants for them to be able to help each other. And in a callback to last year, Drew asks if Kenya is paying for the meal today. Okay. Kenya stays. We learned that Kenya stayed a few days later in New York and Brooklyn, spent the night with her dad for the very first time. And it's sad that that's for the first time. That's really sad for me. Anyway, they toast to a happy life and a new friendship. And Kenya asked if Drew and Ralph had a good time. And Drew says she appreciated Kenya for speaking up on her behalf. And then Drew realizes that she needs to hold him accountable more often. Kenya says that she didn't know that the men were coming on the trip, even though we do get a flashback of Kandi saying that you can bring a man with you if you want to. And she has an issue with Kandi for bringing the panties for people's husbands to buzz on. And she goes into Sanya having to tell her husband to actually stop buzzing on her. And I still feel like these ladies are going too far with this whole situation with these vibrating panties. I mean, I guess I understand that you don't want somebody else's husband to be able to, send stimulation to your nether regions and whatnot. But to be quite honest with you, I felt like it was just all in the spirit of fun. And I felt like, some of the ladies are being rather uptight about it. And I really just don't understand that. Anyway, Drew says that she felt sideswiped by Sanya, and she didn't feel that there's a real issue at hand. So Kenya tells her that she and Sanya went for a walk and, has some questions about dropping with Drew. And Drew feels like Sanya is being fake and not a good friend. They get into Sonya's photo shoot and how Drew was invited and then she was uninvited, and Kenya is shocked. She texted Drew and said that she doesn't want her photo shoot to be about their conversation in New York. And Drew says that she still would have liked to come and support her. Drew asked Kenya if she can unblock her on Instagram, and Kenya jokes about not knowing how to do it. Now, this whole situation with Drew and Sanya, to me, I kind of feel like Sanya is dragging this thing out. I honestly don't feel like, even though she confronted Drew in New York, I feel like Drew still don't really understand what the issue is, to be quite frank. And I feel like Sanya is making this whole situation more than what it is. And it's very interesting that she subbed out Kenya for Drew, because later Marlo will point out that it's interesting that none of the other ladies got an invite to this photo shoot, but Kandi and Kenya, who have the most Instagram followers. And I just thought that was very interesting because, as you guys will note, or maybe you haven't noticed, and let me see if I can pull it up on my end, because I did think it was very interesting what had happened, because Kandi, ever the person that to be supportive, did post the she did post, on Instagram, the photo shoot. So I was like, "Ooh, okay. That's interesting." And it just kind of made me wonder, like, given the fact that Sanya did not invite any of the other ladies, was this because she felt like Kandi had the Instagram followers? And Kenya has the Instagram followers. They have the most Instagram followers out of the group. So it just kind of feels to me a little bit like Sanya was trading up, and she was making a business decision that she knew would work well for her business, Mommy Nation. I don't know. Like, I don't know Sanya that well, so we are just getting to know her. But I feel like from what I'm seeing is she's talking about how Drew is moving. And I agree that Drew doesn't always come across as the most authentic person, but I just kind of feel like Sanya is being a bit preemptive in her friendship with Drew, in terms of like just dragging out a beef when it doesn't really feel like there needs to be a beef. But that's just me. That's just me. Y'all let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about that, because I don't know. That's just how it comes across. Anyway, Kandi is the first to arrive at Sonya's photo shoot, and she describes what it's all about. Sanya lets her know that she switched out Drew for Kenya and officially uninvited Drew. Kenya arrives thinking that she's just showing up for some support, okay? She thinks that she's just coming to support the girl. She ain't come ready to work or nothing like that. And Kenya's like, girl, I didn't come to do no work. You didn't tell me I had to be in the photo shoot. And Sonya's like, I thought I did. Okay. So as Sonya is describing the photo shoot, and we learned that it's for a Black Friday sale, Kandi is like, this bee done put me in a Black Friday sale. What I look like? And Kenya is aghast and laughing. And Kandi and Kenya joke about them being cheap labor. Kandi then tells Kenya it's okay. She likes Sonya, so be nice. And Kenya is like, I like her too. That's why I haven't walked out yet. But Sonya is still pressing, like, so you gonna do this photo shoot or nah? And Kenya's like, well, I might waive my rider. So they do the shoot. It turns out great. But I do find it weird. And I said, and I put this in my notes. I find it weird that she chose Kenya and Kandi. Anyway, Kandi asked why she chose them for this, reading my mind. And Sonya says that she felt the most connected to them during the trip. And Kenya asked if the rest of the girls might feel a certain type of way. And we know that they will. Sonya thinks the only person who may feel a type of way is Drew, but she has a plan for that. She wants to have the girls get together to learn how to cook some Jamaican food. And Kandi is like, I just want to see what your house look like. Sonya says, I ain't got no furniture, so we ain't gonna do it at my house. We're gonna do it at another spot. And Kenya's like, no furniture. Anyway, they ask if she's inviting Drew, and she says, yeah. Kenya says, even though she said that you don't have a mind of your own, Kenya being messy. And Sonya's like, she couldn't have possibly said that. And Kandi wants to bring her mom, Mama Joyce, and then they get into Sheree and her getting stood up by Tyrone. And Kenya points out that there are photos online of her looking, sitting out there in the restaurant looking like Cookie Lion, being stood up. And Kandi is just wondering if there's another woman and if he can't explain to the other woman that he got on the side that he's actually leaving that will actually give him some because, Sheree has said that they were practicing abstinence. And so Kandi is wondering if like this other lady on the side might be giving him some. And so that's why he couldn't be bothered to meet up with her. And I was like, ooh, no, that's something right there. Kenya tells them that they're gonna give her Sheree a single girls' night out, okay, with massages and whatnot. So anyway, Marlo is setting up for Sheree's cheer up and shop party, okay? It's an at-home shopping experience, and she has Fendi's president on speed dial. Okay, so they setting up all the Fendi and stuff like that in the house. Meanwhile, what Sheree don't know is that when she get there for the shopping experience, she gonna have to pay for these things herself. Now, in my mind, I know it's really nice to set up, a store, an in-home store at somebody's house. But girl, we could have just went to the Fendi store if I was gonna have to pay for my own money. I mean, if I was gonna have to pay out of my own account, then what is this for? Like, don't be giving me a gift, a gifting suite, and then I gotta pay for everything. Like, it was just kind of like, girl, are you serious? You could have left this and just gave me the massage, okay? Anyway, because $11,000 later, I didn't spend all my own money, but Marlo said, I'm not paying for you. Anyway, we learned that Kenya is supposed to be bringing desserts and the drinks and the masseuse, but she's running late. So Marlo calls Kenya, who is sick after being at Sonya's Mommy Nation photo shoot that Marlo had no idea about. And she lets Marlo know that Sonya invited the people who she felt the most close with. And Marlo is like, that sounds like some cockamamie. But anyway, Kenya doubles down on her not feeling well and not being able to come. And Marlo is like, well, girl, how sick could you be? Because we on the FaceTime and you in full glam. But Kenya says she's going to send Drew over with the masseuse and some stuff. And I'm thinking that that's an odd choice, but whatever. Marlo gets off the phone, but she thinks that Kenya is lying. Now, let me say this. Just in terms of being sick right now myself, first of all, um, let me just say this and just put it into perspective. So my father is having surgery today. I am very, very sick. So I am not able to go home today until I get better, right? So I'm having to miss my dad's surgery because don't want to run the risk of, getting, him sick, given that he is just having this surgery. And I just don't want to put, my parents in a space that is, precautious with like, getting sick and stuff like that. So, especially with having surgery. So in my mind, the reason why this scene resonated with me is because I understood where Kenya was coming from. If you don't feel well, you sometimes have to make sacrifices and you have to make decisions that are going to be unpleasant for other people, especially when you have previous plans. So to me, I totally understood why she decided not to go. And I totally understood why, even though Marlo might have wondered, okay, well, you were in full glam. So you were obviously around people enough that you could be, you can have your makeup artist come over and get yourself glam. But if to be honest with you, I'm going to tell y'all like this. If you are not feeling well, you not feeling well will trump everything else, logic and reason that would make sense for anybody else to understand. And so, to be quite honest with you, I do not blame Kenya Moore for not going at this point in time because nothing is worth risking your health or the health and safety of anybody else around you. So, to be honest with you, I didn't understand why Marlo was so upset. But anyway, I'm giving y'all TMI, but that's just my position on it, especially given what I'm going through at the moment. So anyway, Sonya and her mom go shopping and they decide on curry chicken, and her mom can't cook without all the spices that she needs or whatever. So Sonya never really learned how to cook, but she's also on the fence about inviting Drew, and she relays that Drew says she doesn't know if Sonya is a good friend and has a mind of her own. So Sonya warns that the girls are about to see the real Sonya show up, and I'm like, girl, for real, where? Okay, because I feel like the only person that she's able to have smoke with is with Drew, especially given that Marlo's going to call her out and to her face and to her mama's face. Okay. But anyway, Drew arrives at Marlo's house with the eggs and whatnot, and she's just here to prep the food and then she's going to dip out. Marlo is wondering if Kenya is really not feeling well and proceeds to tell Drew about Sonya's photo shoot. Drew is like, you didn't go? And Marlo didn't know anything about it. Drew relays to her that she herself was uninvited to the photo shoot, and Marlo is offended and wondered if she invited Kenya and Kandi because they have more followers and for publicity. And I was like, ooh, I didn't even think about that earlier. So Drew feels like Sonya is a flip flopper. Okay. We then find out that Drew has declined to come to Sonya's event based on the text from being disinvited to the photo shoot. And Sonya feels like Drew is making more drama, but I kind of feel like Sonya is the one who is making this more dramatic. Anyway, Drew feels like it's fake to disinvite her to the photo shoot, yet invite her to another event. And Marlo tells her to come anyway and just have a good time and be positive. So Sonya's mom tells her not to let Drew get under her skin because Drew don't want none of this. And I'm like, none of what, mama? Now listen, I like Sonya mama. I like Sonya. But I think that Sonya and mama making more out of this situation than what it is. And I feel like they are coming so hard against Drew because she is the easier target. Because when Marlo goes off about Sonya and the way she was moving later at the event, Mama nor Sonya have really much to say about what Marlo is saying. No clapbacks, no nothing. They just both sit there looking crazy. So anyway, Marlo in her new confessional, I'm like, yes, Marlo is doing it. Okay. She's appreciative that Drew would do all of that for Sheree, despite what she and Sheree have been through. Meanwhile, Sheree is drowning her sorrows in sea salt potato chips. Anyway, Marlo calls her and tells her to put her Chanel purse on with her PJs and get into the car that's waiting for her outside. And Sheree is like, well, it's not a Rolls Royce, but it's a car, so I'm going to go. So Sheree puts on her clothes. She finally gets to Marlo's house, and they have they have a really good conversation. And I forgot to rate this episode at the beginning, but I'm going to rate this episode, and I meant to do it at the beginning again. Like I said, I'm sick, so y'all just have to charge it to my mind and not my heart. But I'm going to rate this episode a 10. And the reason I'm going to rate it a 10, one of the reasons is for this scene in particular right here, because I felt like it was so real. Despite the drama that Marlo is bringing this season, she is also bringing the realness this season as well. And I just love this conversation that she had with Sheree and telling Sheree the truth about this situation and making Sheree realize what a prize she is and how she don't need to be following around this man that has embarrassed her and left her in this position where people can actually Google this photo of her being stood up. And Marlo asked her, girl, I know you love him, but at the end of the day, what if your daughter came to you telling you about this type of situation that she was in? Would you tell her to go back to that situation? And Marlo lets her know, like, I'm not going to judge you, but girl, come on now. Like, we gotta get right in this situation. So anyway, Marlo also tells Sheree about Kenya canceling, with a fresh face of makeup. Okay. Sheree is just thankful that someone has never, because someone has never done something like this before. I forgot that Marlo also called Philly dirty. Is Philly dirty? I don't really spend a lot of time in Philly, but y'all let me know in the chatterization down below. Anyway, um, Sonya and her mom arrive at the cooking school, and they have a steel drum player, and all the ladies arrive. Kenya comes in her high bun and warns Sonya that she's still a little sick, so don't get too close. Sheree in her confessional is like, "Well, I'm glad Kenya can show up for somebody." Marlo arrives, two-stepping and creeping inside. Okay, and Kandi and Mama Joyce arrive, and everybody gets their dirty wine on before the cooking starts. Kenya wonders why, if Drew is coming or not. And then Sonya lets her know that she changed her mind. Marlo is like, wait, we got to cook. Anyway, they're making curry chicken and brown stew chicken. Sonya's mom advises that plantains need to be brown before they can be picked. You know what I'm saying? Like just giving advice about the food. So we learn that Sonya says that her mom is supposed to be the person that does all the cooking for everybody else in the house. But then Sonya's mom is like, well, we just got a kitchen. And Marlo's like, oh, you live in a fixer-upper. And Sonya is quick to shut down that conversation and change the subject. Sonya, if you're going to come on this show, I'm going to need you to have your house already done. Okay? Like that, it just is what it is. Because you running around avoiding this topic every time somebody brings it up. And I'm like, just get your house done. It shouldn't take that long. Okay? Meanwhile, Kenya is hacking up a long off in the corner, and Marlo and Sheree are looking shocked. And Marlo tells her she might need to go home. Kandi is off to the side like, I ain't trying to get sick. And Marlo is like, what you say, Kandi? You ain't trying to get sick? Well, I'm surprised Kenya's even here today. She didn't come yesterday. And so Marlo asks if it's okay to share what happened with Tyrone with Kandi. So Kenya pipes in that she already shared that with Kandi and asks if she wasn't supposed to. And Sheree is like, well, she probably would have liked to tell her herself, but if Kandi knew about it already, then why didn't she reach out to her? And Candy's like, well, I was waiting for you to say something. But apparently, even Drew called Sheree after they had been going back and forth about the whole situation to check up on her after hearing about Tyrone. And then Sheree in her new confessional is wondering what kind of friendship she has with Kandi. And she says this is strike 2 for Kandi. Candy's like, well, I heard you were crying, and that's not something that you normally do, so I don't know what to do. And Kenya says that that's what made her sad the most was seeing her cry. And so then Sheree says, well, that's why I just knew you were going to be at Marlo's place. And Kenya is like, girl, what did you want me to do? Like, did you want me to come and try and get you sick? And Sheree is like, support me. And Kenya's like, I do. I wasn't feeling well, so I needed a test. And the test obviously came back negative. Sheree doesn't understand why she was in full glam. And she's like, let me see the test results. And I was like, whoa, now. First of all, let me say this. Sheree asking Kenya for her test results. How are you going to try to ask to see what somebody's test results are from their doctors? Like, like that's confidential information. Like, she just going to be waving her test results around to you? Like, that's crazy. Kenya's like, so wait, I'm wrong because I don't want you to get sick. And Marlo is like, well, you went to the doctor in full glam. So Kenya's had enough and she goes off. Okay. But Mama Joyce has to kind of like stop her and like hold, like tell her, like, hey, y'all stop arguing about this stupid stuff. And Kandi just wants to know if Sheree ever heard back from Tyrone. Sheree lets them know that she did block him, but she doesn't know if she'll be able to keep him blocked. And Mama Joyce is adamant that, girl, you need to keep him blocked. But Kenya's like, but your daughter did. Your daughter, was talking to somebody that was in jail before. And I was like, oh, Kenya, like y'all are they are not letting up off of Kandi this season. Okay, nobody. So Sheree is off in the corner like, yeah, exactly. And Sheree points out that Candy's baby daddy went to jail. And Sheree asks, well, you already been through this. You should have came and told me what this whole situation was all about. And Candy's like, wait, she just told me about this the day before yesterday. And Sheree is like, but you've been through this before. And I needed that support. And Sheree is like, Drew was even there for me. And then Marlo reveals that she told Drew that she should come tonight to the event because she felt bad for her. So Sonya defends her choice for not inviting Drew to the work event, and Sheree wants to know who was all invited. And Marlo's like, so you just didn't invite us, meaning her and Sheree. And Sonya's like, poor Sonya, rookie mistake. She says, but it wasn't meant to offend you guys. And Marlo is like, well, here's the thing, girl. Kandi's not the type of person you just meet and be friends with. Kandi is gonna wait. So Marlo feels like, you just got cool with Kandi. How you just gonna be connected with Kandi so fast? In 2 weeks, bye. Okay. And she tells Sanya this to her face, and Sanya ain't got nothing to say. Meanwhile, Sanya's mama, who was like, Drew don't want none of this, sure didn't have no smoke for Marlo either. Okay. Anyway, I'm like, dang, y'all doing all of this in front of Kandi and Sanya's mom. So anyway, Marlo calls Sheree outside for a quick ponderosa, and Sheree is like, girl, it's dangerous out here. Kandi is suspicious of Marlo and Sheree being buddy-buddy because she feels like Marlo is getting Sheree to be on her mess. And Marlo asks Sheree if she feels like Sanya is up Kenya and Kandi's anus. Sheree is like, yeah, girl. Marlo is like, she's trying to use Kandi to promote Mommy Nation, and she ain't been on the track in 50 years, and all those people living in the house. Marlo was going in, okay? Meanwhile, inside, Kenya tells Sanya that Marlo coming in picking fights with everybody is the nasty Marlo that she knows. And Kandi thinks Marlo and Sheree are over there plotting, and she's not buying this best friends act. Marlo says Kandi is the money mom. She got a whole team and a daddy daycare. Marlo says Kandi doesn't have it in her heart to help other people. And Kandi says Sheree says Kandi is just for herself. Marlo then says, first of all, Kandi, you was a dang hoe. You done effed everybody for free. And then Sheree chimes in, yep. And then Marlo says, that B was a hoe, and that Punani wasn't good. And that's why you was running around here and got a date underneath your tax bracket. Basically talking about Todd, okay? And then Sheree is like, preach, girl, preach. And Marlo says, and Kenya I was Miss USA, and I'm Kenya Moore hair care. She says, B, you was a dang video hoe. You went through every rapper in America and didn't get a ring. And then Sheree chimes in and says, facts. Marlo in her confessional is like, Kandi and Sheree and Kenya have been friends for a long time. And for Kandi to know what she's going through and not reach out is surprising. And she knows Sheree was hurt about it. Marlo decides to go back inside and is going to kill the fake bees with kindness in hopes that Drew shows up. Meanwhile, Drew is walking in. And I'm like, yo, Marlo went ham on Kandi and Kenya and Sanya. She did not let her foot off of their necks. And I'm going to be very interested to see how this whole situation turns out. Y'all let me know what y'all would rate this episode in the chat, because I'm going to give it a 10, baby. This thing was lit. Okay. Now, with that being said, your boy got to go rest his voice, try to get a little bit better. I'm going back to lay down and watch the first season of Scandal all over again. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next video.